Armed Antifa rioters storm Oregon's Capitol, all as the City of Minneapolis braces for the Derek Chauvin Trial and the death of George Floyd. In this video, we're going to take a look at the latest riots unleashed by Antifa agitators, how cities across the nation are bracing themselves for the fallout from the Chauvin trial, and how what's nothing less than a Democrat civil war is destroying both themselves and the cities they rule. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Wonderful to be with you. As always, we're here to give you each and every single day conservative hope in the midst of these turbulent, trying times, helping you to think better so you can feel better and provide for you a patriot path to freedom. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, for you podcast fans, we've now reached over 2 million podcast downloads, so make sure to click on that link below and sign up for our various podcast platforms. We've also got links to our Rumble and Parler channels down below. We'd love for you to subscribe to them as well and support Alt Tech. Before we get into things here, a new invention has come onto the market that's helping to relieve pain using nanotechnology. It's called Relax the Pain, and it uses nanotechnology patches to help relieve pain anywhere in your body within seconds. You simply stick the patch on the source of the pain and it can subside the pain or aches in under 60 seconds. It's really pretty amazing stuff. And best of all, if you click on the link below today, you're going to get your patches at 50% off, but it is a limited time offer, so do not wait. Click on that link below right now or go to relaxthepain.com. Get 50% off your order today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. We've got some significant Antifa news here. Members of the radical leftist group descended on the Oregon State Capitol in direct response to a pro-Trump rally that was scheduled for yesterday, March 28th. Our good friend Andy No reported on the riot, tweeting out on 28th of March, 2021, hashtag Antifa gathered in Salem, Oregon in a pre-planned riot. They wore ballistic vests and carried guns, bat shields, and gas masks. They assaulted drivers on the road by throwing paint and rocks. One vehicle's windshield was impaled by a tree limb. And then he hyperlinked the tweet to a flash alert from the Salem Police Department, which details the illicit activities of these far-left agitators. This is from the flash alert. Quote, Oregon State Capitol continues to be a draw from demonstrations and protesters. On Sunday, March 28, 2021, events were held by two separate groups intending to meet at the state capitol grounds. The first event, billed as the Freedom Rally, appeared on social media streams in February. A second event appeared soon after, named Fascist Free 503, indicating a counter-response to the Freedom Rally. Social media posts connected to the group indicated their intention to prevent the Freedom Rally caravan from meeting at the state capitol. Shortly before noon, approximately 100 individuals wearing black clothing and ballistic vests and carrying firearms, bats, skateboards, umbrellas, shields, and gas masks arrived on the Capitol Mall grounds. Some individuals in the group carried Youth Liberation Front flags, a group known to espouse left-wing ideologies. Soon after their arrival, the Salem Police Department began to receive reports that individuals from the Court Street group were targeting vehicles driving by. The victims reported their vehicles were damaged by paint-filled balloons, rocks, and other hard objects being thrown at them as they passed. One vehicle sustained significant damage after a large tree limb was thrown through the front window into the vehicle's passenger seat. Patrol officers responded and took several reports to initiate criminal investigations, close quote. Now, to make this even more infuriating, Oregon police ended up actually arresting a pro-Trump patriot after he defended himself from his truck from the assaults of Antifa. Video from the incident clearly shows the driver was being assaulted by Antifa agitators. His truck was being vandalized, and so he pulls a gun on the protesters as a means of defending himself and his property, but then he gets arrested by police. Andy No personally warned us of that. We had Andy as our guest for our live Q&A a few weeks back for our Insiders Club members, which you can join simply by clicking on the link below. But he told us that the current political situation has made it almost impossible to resist Antifa in places like Oregon. If you try to defend yourself against them, he noted the police are not going to arrest them. They're only going to arrest you, which is, of course, beyond ridiculous at this point. And it is, at least in part, it's a survival mechanism for the political left right now, which we'll get into in a moment. But Salem wasn't the only city experiencing social unrest over the weekend. In Los Angeles, protesters clashed with police over the shutdown of what's turned into yet another autonomous zone in a left-wing city. Over 180 arrests have been made since last Thursday night during a protest against the removal of a large-scale homeless encampment at Echo Park Lake in LA. Several hundred protesters faced off with LAPD Thursday night in order to protect the autonomous zone. Police soon declared the massive protests an unlawful assembly and began forcibly removing protesters from the scene. Even several media members were actually detained, including reporters for the LA Times. Now, one of the things we've got to understand here when it comes to these protests, when it comes to these riots, is that it's all part of what the media refuses to report on, which is nothing less than a civil war from within the political left. So what we're seeing in Portland and Salem and LA and a number of other cities, all left-wing, right, is nothing short of leftists versus leftists. And what that means is that we're actually seeing a battle between two different leftist factions. So it's a battle between the old, bougie, white, neoliberal establishment, Democrat, the Joe Bidens, the Pelosi's, the Schumers on the one side, and then you've got the radical left, the Marxist BLM Antifa left on the other. So in a sense, it's this new left now versus the old left. And we have example after example, the new left turning against the old left. It all started with the Minneapolis soy boy, right? Mayor Jacob Fry and his humiliation walk of shame at a BLM rally where he was forced to take this walk of shame by these demonstrators telling him, get the F out of here. Go home, Jacob, go home. We saw something similar with Ted Wheeler, the mayor of Portland, when Antifa and BLM crowd he was marching with turned on him. They demanded that he resign, and that's when he said, all right, he did a complete 180 and admitted, all right, I admit it, Antifa is deliberately trying to commit murder in my city, burn cops down and all that. You have Jenny Durkin, the ultra-left mayor of Seattle, the once brave defender of the Chaz Autonomous Zone as the Summer of Love, where several people were shot and killed. She had to face a major recall effort led by leftists upset that she allowed police to use tear gas to disperse demonstrators and rioters. Gang, we can go on and on and on. In every single one of these cases, it's not right versus left. It's the new left versus the old left. It's Democrat versus Democrats. The new Antifa BLM left versus the old bourgeois white left. The AOCs versus Nancy Pelosi's. That's why I think they're arresting patriots. Because frankly, these leftist mayors and governors are trying to protect themselves from the ire of the far left, right? And with the trial of the century officially starting this week, we may have seen nothing yet when it comes to the Civil War. But I want to give you a free gift. Make sure to click on that link below and download your own fake news antidote. We've updated our compilation of over 30 alternative news sites that I go to for my news each and every single day. They are all conservative. They all celebrate Trump. They all champion the nationalist populist revolt going on all over the world. And boy, do we need these news resources now more than ever. You can download your own copy of our updated fake news antidote completely free at the link down below in the pinned comment section. And that way you're going to have a ready list of your go-to sites that you'll definitely enjoy, and they're going to inspire you through these trying and tumultuous times. It's yours absolutely free by clicking on the link below. It is my gift to you. All right, so speaking of this Democrat Civil War, Minneapolis, and indeed the entire nation, is bracing for the trial of former police officer Derek Chauvin, accused of killing George Floyd. He is being charged with second-degree murder as well as third-degree murder, manslaughter, in a death that sparked massive nationwide race riots that continue to plague cities in some way, shape, or form, like we're seeing in Portland and Seattle to this day. The trial has formally begun as of today, with opening arguments being presented. But what really has police on edge is the formation of an autonomous zone in and around what's called George Floyd Square. According to Fox News, police are putting pressure on the Minneapolis City Council, arguing that residents living near George Floyd Square have suffered alone for months under a de facto autonomous zone, as already depleted police resources are being pulled away from the neighborhood in order to prepare for what they're calling the inevitable rioting to come in the trial of ex-cop Derek Chauvin. Apparently, demonstrators have been camping out for months in what is now a small autonomous zone set up by George Floyd Square, effectively turning the area into a no-cop zone and effectively holding residents hostage. Not surprisingly, there was recently a fatal shooting in the area, and businesses are reportedly getting robbed by the same people 2 or 3 times a week. Because it's a cop-free zone where police are under inordinate assault, there are citizens living there and around the area who simply cannot access police services. Now, the autonomous zone is obviously the consequence of the Minneapolis City Council's own making. You'll recall that shortly after the race riots engulfed our nation's cities last summer, the ultra-left Minneapolis City Council voted unanimously to disband the Minneapolis Police Department. And they said they were going to replace it with some kind of nebulous community model that they never quite explained what it would be. But it didn't matter to the criminals. Crime skyrocketed throughout Minneapolis. Things were so bad. We've talked about this because it's so comical. Things were so bad in this Democrat-run monopoly that you actually had the Minneapolis Police Department officially announce over the summer that the citizens of Minneapolis, they actually ought to expect to get mugged and robbed. That's how bad it's turned. And with the trial of Derek Chauvin underway, the worst may indeed be yet to come. But make no mistake here, this collective disaster, and that's precisely what it is, from Portland to Salem to LA to Minneapolis, this collective disaster is all part of an imploding Democratic Party. While they may seem to have all the power in the world right now in Washington, D.C., with every passing day, the Democrat legacy in city after city across the nation is imploding. Our nation's urban society is socially rotting. They're literally rotting right before our very eyes. And now leftists have begun to war against themselves. And with the Derek Chauvin trial beginning this week, it may turn out that that civil war is indeed just beginning. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, comment down below, subscribe to my channel. Definitely click on the link and check out some more awesome merch. And you'll definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on how President Trump has announced his plans to visit the U.S.-Mexico border, all as Biden's immigration disaster explodes. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.